grab her face and like, there you go, Maria. It's okay. It's okay. That's right. Just start suffocating Maria. I'm sorry. Hello and welcome to Pork. Now, if you're new here, hi, I'm Voyia. I play a variety of games. If you want me to play something, please don't hesitate to ask. I'll do my best to try to play what you ask me to play. Also, if you see yourself enjoying this, don't forget, sorry, something was behind my back. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Other than that, let's get started. We all like pork, right? Not all of us. Some people have a religion, you know, they can't eat pork, or some people have a diet issue, they can't eat pork. But, you know, for some, I mean, we eat bacon, right? Pork chops, no? None of it. I don't really like meat, but I'm not a vegetarian, vegan, or anything like that. I'm not any of those, but I just don't like meat. Let's get started. Oh my God, that's kind of loud. Hold on one second, you guys. That was quite the workout. Dolores wiped the sweat from her brow, so I had to go check the sound, you guys. But you know, everything's okay. It doesn't seem like it's too loud for you guys, but you just let me know in the comment section below. Again, like I always try to approve the sound, whether it's me being too loud or the game being too loud or anything being too low and you guys can't hear something. I try to approve the best way I can. Dolores wiped the sweat from her brow. Making bread was hard on a normal day. Making bread with only one arm was practically exhausting. Boy, I can't even imagine, especially like this is like a 50s game. Making bread on a normal day, that sounds like just like with both hands, that's got to be like an arm workout on its own. But try and do it one hand. And what happened to your hand, love? But it was nice to see the fruits of her labor now proofing. She set a damp towel over the top of the bowl and put it off to the side. Making her bread wasn't her favorite thing in the world, but she tried her best to keep Gino happy. Gino. Did Gino do that to your arm? Tell me it was an accident. He asked for pork stew for dinner, and the last time she made it without bread, he flipped his lid. Tell me Gino didn't do that. She wouldn't repeat the same mistake twice. Going to the fridge, she pulled out the tomatoes. Now that she finally managed to finish the bread, she could move on to the other aspects of the dish. She paused at the fridge door. Her gaze strayed where it always did. A small postcard stuck underneath a bright yellow e-magnet. Aww. She gently pulled it from underneath and looked at it closer. Hello, Mama. Can you believe it's been a whole 3 years since I left home? I miss you. Let Maria know I miss her too. Stay safe, Elmo. I hope that says Elmo. He sounds so happy. You know, the way she... this is just worrying me. I don't know if this is a horror game. I don't know if this is a romance. I don't know if this is a thriller or whatever or anything. I don't know anything about it. Emma hadn't been home for several years, and Dolores missed him terribly. This was the only postcard he sent so far, and she'd gotten it in a package. It had been a little odd, too. The postcard had the wrong address on it. Elmo was a strange boy. Even with the wrong address, Dolores put the postcard on the fridge. Having Maria around helped, but the house didn't feel whole with Elmo gone. She wondered if she could convince Gino to let Elmo come home for a visit. Now that I'm thinking about it, Gino might have done this to her, and I don't like it. Cause look at her arm. Look at her arm. No, that didn't happen. Making bread. Nope. With a sigh, Dolores put the postcard back in its rightful place and grabbed the tomatoes. Gino wouldn't agree to anything if dinner wasn't done on time. I still have a couple of hours. She looked at the clock. It's already 4:30? The bread was still proofing. It would take at least an hour for it to cook. Not to mention that the pork shoulder would take even longer to get as soft as Gino liked it. She stared at the table. I'm not going to have enough time. Grabbing her vegetable knife, she started to chop the tomatoes. Bake the bread, saute the onions, Grill the pork shoulder, add it to the pot. She bit her lip. She definitely didn't have enough time for this. Still worried. I'm hoping that this is not a domestic violence or DV, if you guys don't want me to say the words, kind of game. I don't know. It's a little weird. She definitely didn't have enough time for this. Dolores froze. She walked over to the phone and stared at it for a long second as it rang. No one else could be calling right now. It had to be Gino. I think we answer it. I think we definitely answer it. I need to answer. If I don't, Dolores pulled the phone from the receiver and held it to her ear. Hello, honey? I'm on my way home. Okay, I'm cooking at the moment. You're not done? I'm almost home. I'm falling a little bit behind. The line went silent. We'll talk about it when I get there. He hung up before Dolores could say another word. Oh no. She stared at the house phone for a long second. The cord swung gently as she stood, still as a statue. Swallowing hard, she gently set it back down on the hook. She collapsed in on herself, grabbing the stove for purchase. Heat coated her free hand as she snatched it away. The stovetop was on. Oh no, and now she's making mistakes. Oh no. I hope this isn't like a small mini game, like you gotta race to cook the food. Because I'm gonna mess up. And sorry about my voice, you guys. My voice started to go away instantly. I don't know what's happening. She nearly burned her hand. The heat brought her back to reality. I need to finish before he gets home. The task felt impossible, but she had to try. Dolores launched into action. Gino would be furious if dinner wasn't ready when he got there. Dolores grabbed the massive stew pot off the counter and put it on the burner. The pot had a beautiful red finish to it. Dolores managed to snag it at an estate sale. The woman who owned it previously died under mysterious circumstances, and her husband was selling off her things. This is what I don't like about games like this, is that it makes my brain race. Maybe it is a good thing that a visual novel or anything that you read makes your brain wonder, because the thing that I'm worried about is like my brain goes back to maybe this is just a DV or a domestic violence visual novel. Maybe it's a funny visual novel, and then like my brain like sways back to maybe this is a horror and I'm gonna get a jump scare. The woman who I already read that, sorry. Gino hadn't been happy when she brought it home, but it was worth it to make cooking more efficient. Dolores readjusted her arm in a sling, remembering just how angry he'd been. He did do that. You listen to me. People on this channel, my family on this channel, if I find out that y'all doing this or y'all going through this and y'all not trying to fight y'all way out of this situation, I'll punch you in the forehead. Well, not the ones trying to fight their way out of this situation. I'll punch the people that's doing it to you in the forehead. I don't like stuff like this. That was behind her now. Setting the pot on the burner, she began to sear the meat. The fragrant smell of pork filled the air. She tossed the onions, crushed and diced the tomatoes, and broth into the pot. Her eyes flickered back to the clock. She was running out of time. Mid-toss, Dolores heard it. The sound of Gino's car coming up the driveway. No! He must have floored it home. Dolores listened, shaking. He was home. Dolores looked back and forth, trying desperately to decide what to do. She could try to distract him. She wiped her hands on the apron, ready to face her husband. Oh no, what is that sound? I don't know what that is, but that sounds scarier than her husband coming home. Is he dragging something on gravel? That's what it sounds like. Dolores looked over to the pot on the stove. The pot bubbled and boiled with rage. Its cast iron body shook and trembled on the burner until it finally shifted off and splattered against the floor. Oh no. Dang it, she dropped the food. Dolores stared at the spilled dinner in horror. Oh no. Well, she didn't drop the food. It just bubbled over onto the floor. And that horror only grew as the food began to move. Huh? Yep. I knew. That's a whole hand. That's a whole hand. I knew this was going to be a horror game. It undulated and trembled as it began to shape. The hand made of meats and vegetables reached out looking for leverage. Sauce-dripping fingers clawed onto the linoleum, gouging grooves in their wake. Dolores watched as the creature began to take shape and pull itself from the afterbirth of her home-cooked meal. It lumbered to its feet, looming larger than life. Dolores backed away from the stove until she collided with the wall. The pungent smell of oregano overpowered her nose. As the creature found its footing, it paused. Its head looked in the direction of the pot it had came from. It turned to Dolores. What is this thing? Oh my God, maybe that's why the lady mysteriously passed away, because of the pot made her food into a monster. Neither moved. The silence stretched on for what felt like hours. The creature pounced, grabbed Dolores by her hair, and threw her against the stove. Dolores pushed back. The creature collided with the fridge. The postcard slipped free from under the magnet and hid under the fridge. 1 second, you guys. I don't know what's happening. I'm losing my voice and I had like an itch in my throat. The creature's arm launched outward. Dolores' head flew to one side and she blinked away stars. She slid down against the floor. Heat burned in her right cheek. The food is hot and it's touching her and it's hitting her. Oh no. And then they say something about a Maria. Who's Maria? Like, whoever Maria is, I hope she gets home and help. In her daze, Dolores could only hear the sounds of rushing water. She tried to pull herself upright, but the same hand, slicked with sauce, grabbed fistfuls of her hair by the roots and pulled her where it wanted. Please, stop! The sink full of murky water came into view. Dolores only had seconds to grasp before she was pushed underwater. The hand holding her hair bit down, snapping strands in its wake as it thrashed underneath it. Oh no, poor Dolores, he's drowning her. She could only hear a rush of water. She reached down blindly, clawing frantically. If she could just get free. Her lungs began to burn. Dishes shatter as her waving arms collide with everything on the counters. Her fingers found the handle and she shoved it deep into the monster's side. The monster's grip loosened. Dolores pushed back against it. Dolores wiggled away. Oh my goodness. This is like got me on the edge of my seat. This is a new visual novel that I found in the recently added section, right? No one I've seen so far has played it. And I was just like, oh, this is just going to be like a little nice cooking game. My brain went to, when I saw the stew and the pork and stuff, my brain went to, it's going to be a cozy game. This is not a cozy game. Dolores wiggled away, hacking up water. Oh my God. The monster clenched its side. The knife dangled within its body. The monster reached down and pulled at the knife. It came free with a sucking sound that turned Dolores' stomach. Warm red sauce pooled on the floor as the monster swayed. Its mouth opened and gurgling sounds almost like words spilled from its lips. Its swaying grew more clumsy. The knife slipped from its hand and clattered to the floor. For a second, nothing happened. The monster stared in Dolores' direction. Dolores' mouth opened and closed like a fish. She tried to find the words to explain her. Stop looking at me like that. The monster said nothing. I didn't mean it. The monster said nothing. I was only defending myself. The monster said nothing. I think the monster is Gino. I really think the monster is Gino. Its silence quickly turned Dolores' fear into rage. Don't you judge me. You of all people. The monster staggered towards her. Don't you freaking judge me. Dolores threw herself at the monster before it could reach her first. The two toppled over. A sharp screech came from the monster as it fell onto the knife again. Jesus, he got stabbed again in the back. It sank deeply into the monster's side. Dolores grabbed the knife handle and ripped it from the monster's body. The monster stopped screaming and stared at her. In the reflection of the monster's eyes, Dolores saw herself. How dare you? Dolores drove the knife into the creature's chest. She pulled it free and the sauce splattered across the lower cabinets. How dare you? The creature squealed like a pig. She drove the knife in again and again. How dare you? Each stab left the monster jolting. Warm sauce splattered over the floors in Dolores' face. The monster gurgled and groaned, but Dolores couldn't hear it over her own screaming. The monster reached at her hand, but Dolores didn't stop. Oh man, if they show the scene and it's her husband and she freaks out and something else. Oh no, I didn't mean to skip that part. If she freaks out and something else happens, I'm gonna be so angry. She slashed and hacked in a frenzy. Dolores only came back to herself when the monster had finally stopped moving. When she finally stopped, she couldn't believe her eyes. The monster pulled around her feet as she stood. Dolores panted, exhausted suddenly. She looked down at the knife in her hand. Oh no. Dolores. Dolores couldn't believe what she did. She looked at the pot on the ground, the monster, the vegetables she hadn't had a chance to put into the pot yet. So she saw like vegetables and everything all over the monster, and she didn't even put them in the pot yet. So it's got to be her husband. She dreamed of the day that she could finally be able to stop, and here it was. She let the knife slip from her hands. She never came to endure this again. Dolores let her body sag, exhaustion taking hold. She looked down at the carnage around her. A wave of relief flooded through her so quickly she felt dizzy. She looked at the clock again. Maria will be home soon. The words left her mouth, but she couldn't keep her thoughts straight. She looked at the sauce covering the floor. Her body moved on autopilot. I should clean up. Gino will be in soon. She walked on numb feet to the hall closet and grabbed disinfectant. Getting on her hands and knees, she started to scrub. She scrubbed until her fingers hurt. Looking at the overturned pot, she set it back on the stove. Okay, so Maria's on her way home. Hopefully we can get the house clean before Maria is there. I think Gino's already home and probably getting cleaned up right now. I need to make something for dinner. She looked down at the monster, now placed in the buckets nearby. With enough preparation, it could work. Dolores sighed. She rolled up her sleeves. Oh no. Just about done. Dolores stirred the pot a bit more. The sound of thundering footsteps left Dolores smiling. Maria skid into the kitchen. No running, mija. Dolores turned to look at her daughter. She stared for a long second. Maria looked back with a confused smile. Mama? Dolores dropped down and grabbed her daughter. She breathed in the smell of her hair, still sweet with the sunshine she had been running around in after school. My baby. You're crushing me. Maria giggled and squirmed. Okay, I thought she was about to... Oh, she about to... There you go, Maria. Like, hold on, she was about to grab her face and like, there you go, Maria. It's okay. It's okay, Dad. That's right. Just start suffocating Maria. I'm sorry. That was my first thought. Dolores kissed the top of Maria's head before finally letting her go. She turned back to the pot. Go wash up for dinner. Maria scurried off. Dolores looked around the kitchen. Her eyes found the bare place on the fridge where Elmo's postcard should be. She got on her hands and knees and searched freshly mopped floor for it. Finding it, She looked it over for what felt like the first time. Mama? Yes. Dolores' eyes scanned over the card again and again. She should give Elmo a call soon. My voice is going away. I need some Wawa. Give me a second. Give me a second, you guys. And you guys better be drinking water too. I also got like this weird itch in the back of my throat. Is Dad home? I saw his car in the driveway. Dolores looked down at her child. Maria looked around the room as if her father would appear out of thin air. She wrung her hands, a frightened look on her face. Dolores slipped the postcard back underneath the magnet. He's not here. Where is he? I don't know. I think I heard him come in. Maybe he stepped out for a little while. Should we wait until he come home to eat? Dolores clenched her jaw before she relaxed and gave Maria another smile. No, we're not waiting for anything anymore. Maria gave her mother a strange look but nodded. She slid onto the chair at the dinner table and looked up at her mother. Dolores grabbed 2 bowls of food and set one down gently in front of her daughter. She hesitated only for a moment before settling down at the head of the table. I'm assuming she wasn't allowed to sit at the head of the table. Maria poked at her food. Excuse me. What is this? Dolores smiled. It's your daddy. Pork. That ain't pork, that's your daddy, girl. No. Well, again, seeing a game called Pork and seeing like pork somethings, pork stew or whatever, sitting in front of you, I only assumed that it was supposed to be a cozy game or cozy cooking game. And I enjoy the cozy cooking games, but this was not a cozy cooking game. So if you enjoyed yourself, thank you and welcome. I hope you enjoyed yourself enough to like, comment, and subscribe. I will see all you guys in the next episode. Peace and love. Stay safe out there, everybody. Please be careful what you eat because pork apparently looks like Gino. Bye.